Happy Sunday, everybody. I am very excited because number one, you guys let me take a 2-week hiatus to focus on larger projects. And number two, I partnered up with Home Depot and their Perspective program, which I've been doing all year, to build with new tools and build a bar for the first time, but also do some DIY affordable faux marble epoxy countertops for you as well in this video. So let's just dive directly into it. So why am I even building a bar in a garage? Well, because we're actually gonna be turning this into a gym, and I wanted to create like a moment where you can sit and relax, but also, you know, if Paul wanted to have friends over and smoke a cigar, he can come in here and do that, and not my workshop. Okay, I didn't want to like show you the whole process of me cleaning. I think you guys get it by now, but this is where we are about 40 minutes in. It's completely cleared out, and it's like, oh yeah, look at all the progress you're making, but hold please. We have donations. I need to paint these frames. This is all stuff I've pulled from decor I've just had for forever. For my brother and his girlfriend's room that I'm making over. This is for the man cave we are currently working on. And then this is stuff I'm just like, what is happening? So it doesn't look like a mess, but it is a mess. But we need to get right back into it. Oh my gosh, it literally is an hour since we started. So now I'm gonna take a little bit of a break, and instead of like ripping these out of the wall like I've done before, you guys have left a lot of links in different charities, foundations that are actually able to pick these up and reuse them. So I'm gonna just gracefully take them off the wall, and then we can measure out for the little bar situation for Mr. Paul Rodriguez. Something to note is that this is a larger scale project, so I am ordering a huge dumpster because I have multiple projects behind the scenes going on, so it looks like I'm just kind of filling up this room for no reason, but this is part of the gym makeover that I will be sharing with you once it is complete, so you're kind of getting like a behind the scenes of what the gym looks like before it's a gym. Once everything was like absolutely cleaned up and out of the way, that's when I could really dive in and start to have like my creative juices flowing, because I don't really work well when something's in my way when I need to be making it over. So now I was really able to step back and be like, all right, what are we doing? Hear me out. I was thinking, looking at this space and designing it last night, I was sketching it, and to kind of make it look a little bit more fluid and open, I think I'm gonna do a triangle bar, because you can see all of this didn't get paint epoxied with paint chips when we got our floors done. To avoid trying to paint to match and paint chip it to match, I'm just gonna go ahead and make this a triangle bar. Hold please. We are going to be staying within the Milwaukee family as much as possible today, and I grabbed my premium magnetic tape measure. It's 25 feet long, and just started to kind of measure out the height of the bar and get a feel for it while standing next to it prior to cutting my frame down. I don't know what light bulb went off in my head, because this is not a new concept. I've never really taped out a room actually ever, and once I taped out the bar and was like, this is perfect, I decided to search for my decor online, put it into my Amazon basket before checking out. I came down and actually taped every single piece of decor per the measurement of the site to see if it would fit onto this wall and look good. And I think that is something that I need to do more often, because I wouldn't be returning 5,000 packages once I realized they didn't fit. Something else I would like to keep completely real with you guys is like, I've never used a quote unquote premium tape measure before, so it was nice to get my hands on this Milwaukee one. As I was reading up about it, the main goal for it is to actually protect it from damage when you're dropping it, and that's very true, because I've broken a ton of measuring tapes, or they've been slightly off or not working 100% because you're dropping them on your job sites. So the difference with this measuring tape is it actually has up to 9 feet of tape standout with nylon bond blade protection, which just reinforced the actual tape of the tape measure. Really not sure how this happened, but for the first time in the history of me doing any type of room, everything I wanted to order actually fit up on the wall after taping it out. I decided to paint it in Eggshell Ultra Pure White by Behr, the run-of-the-mill white that you can pick up directly in Home Depot's paint section, and then moved on to creating the frame of the actual bar. This bar is going to be 73 inches by 22 inches by 76, so I'm just cutting down some 2x4s and using pocket hole screws and screwing from the outside where necessary to create this frame. Right now I am building the quote unquote wall portion of the bar, like one that's going to attach to the wall itself, and the one that's going to be the front face of the bar. This measuring tape's also double-sided. Total side note, I was measuring and pre-drilling holes for the studs that need to go in between those two quote unquote walls. And I'm going to be using my Milwaukee family like I mentioned before, but we're going to cut those down with this chop saw that I've never used, and it was way heavier than I expected when I was trying to pull it off. All right, I would definitely be lying if I said that this did not intimidate me. This 7¼ inch rear handle circular saw, it generates the power of a 15A corded circular saw, which it cuts faster than that as well, and it delivers up to 570 cuts per charge. I was a little not shaky physically, but just hesitant because I've never used a rear handle circular saw that was this large before. But I do have to say it cut like butter, and it just felt extremely lightweight when it was on the wood, and like pushing it through felt very natural. You'll see me get used to it when I'm ripping down larger pieces of MDF and stuff later on. But I just started to add those supports in between those two larger pieces that I built, and then screwed the frame directly into the studs of where I was installing the bar. You guys know how I'm always in the middle of 5,000 projects. Well, this is actually recycled material from something I was going to originally throw away. I decided to tack it directly in place on the outside of the frame and paint it black to be the backdrop to the texture I'm going to add to the front of this bar. I ripped down 1/2 inch pieces of thin MDF. These are sheets that you can buy that are 2x4 at Home Depot already cut down for you and can fit in your car. I spaced it with its own self in between each piece, and I'm going to be painting those black as well. I just wanted to add something with a little bit of texture because I feel like if it was just all black and smooth, it wouldn't look very special, and this is an easy way to luxe it up a bit. I cut those slats flush to the frame and then painted them black. While those were drying, I decided to cut down the tabletop to the bar, which is 3/4 inch thick MDF that we are going to do a faux marble epoxy top that literally any of you guys can do. I researched a ton of different epoxy methods with colored epoxy, and that really made me nervous. I wanted to do something that I knew I couldn't mess up. It was essentially foolproof. Stone Coat Countertops, I linked every single bit of information that I used from them down below in the description box, but they had this live of this marbleized spray paint that literally shot out looking like marble, and my heart was completely set on that. So per their instructions, you have to prep the MDF a day before and let the paint absolutely dry to make sure that it's not going to be messing with the clear epoxy or the spray paint. I decided to add a lip. You don't have to, but I thought it'd be cool to make the bar look thicker than it actually was. So that was my intention while doing this. I used compound joint mud, just like drywall mud, to seal the seam and sanded that down until it was completely smooth before I decided to paint that with a primer. And then I went over it with an ultra pure white as well, just to make sure that you could not see anything of the MDF or any of the stains that were on it. I also sanded down the tabletop where I saw it was a little bit rough just to make sure it was completely smooth. And yes, that is actual marble effect spray paint. You guys are going to trip out. After you let your base sit for a day, you can go in with whatever color you want. I got gray, white, and black. I'm just going to be using black. I made sure my tabletop was level prior to actually spraying the spray paint, and I also tested it on some cardboard and wrote down all the steps so I didn't forget it, but that's literally how it sprays out. It's completely foolproof, and then my camera decided not to record when I sprayed it on my tabletop, so I apologize for that. But I did link everything down below for you guys, including the articles from Stone Coat that I followed through this entire thing, like literally played their tutorial while I was doing it. You see that the spray paint just goes sporadically, so just keep in mind when you're doing this that you're not going to be able to control the pattern. Just go into it with a very open mind. Let that spray paint sit for an hour before we start to mix that 1-to-1 of the clear epoxy. Every single tool for every single step we are about to do is linked down below for you, but we first got to put on some gloves just to make sure you're not getting anything all over your hands, and then we're going to grab our bucket and pour part B first into the bucket and meet that with equal parts of part A, the actual resin. Once you have those two poured, you're going to grab a paint mix attachment, attach that to your drill, and mix that together for 2 minutes straight. It's going to turn white. Do not freak out. It's because you're introducing air into the epoxy, but you just want to make sure you're scraping the sides not too hard because you don't want to burst open that bucket. That would be terrible. Just make sure you're getting as much mixture as possible throughout the entire bucket. You don't want to leave anything behind. When that was all mixed, I grabbed my phone, literally put on the tutorial to make sure I was doing it properly, and poured it right on top of our faux marble MDF. And I sort of freaked out a little bit, but it was so much fun, and now I just had to keep it moving because once you pour, you got to keep going. You don't actually have to rush with Stone Coat Countertops Epoxy. That's something that they pride themselves in, is the working time. So I grabbed that spreader that has the teeth, but you want to also make sure that you're not digging into that spray paint. It's only been drying for an hour and you don't want to scratch your surface. I just kept it moving slowly but surely until it kind of spilled over all the edges, and I just sat back to make sure everything was looking level and good with the epoxy before I let it sit for a second. I forget what they call this, but you want to go in with the heel of a clean paintbrush and just start to smack it like it's hot, I think is actually what they say. But I could be totally creepy and that could not be the saying that they say in their live. You want to do that all over the top of the epoxy and just really press hard into it. Don't freak out that you're going to ruin the spray paint. It actually just kind of brings it up into the clear, giving this a little bit more depth. I then went in and torched it a total of 3 times from 3 different directions, allowing 5 minutes in between each torching time. And truth be told, I was truly freaking out. I just thought it looked so beautiful. Yeah, up close and personal, you can definitely see it's a little bit more of a spray paint texture, but I was very happy and also a little bit dumb on my behalf. I had my garage open, so I had to tarp it off to make sure no debris got into it. And then I decided to throw the memory card that had me doing the flood coat of sanding and repeating that same clear coat process into the washer, so I didn't have that footage. But you're basically going to repeat the same exact thing after sanding it down with 220 grit the next day and repeat the torching and the clear coat. While that was drying, I decided to go back into the bar area and start to hang up the smaller details, such as this basketball rack and then also the smaller mini basketballs for the indoor basketball hoop I'm going to be putting in the gym. Hold, please. Watch. So I dropped that screw and I was just about to complain, but look at this. Are you joking? Yes, the magnetic tip comes in handy for screws, but it also easily holds to EMT and steel studs as well. But for me, that was just like the moment I completely fell in love with it. And once I realized how well that worked, I started to go on a hunt for screws because I dropped so many of them into the bar of the frame, into the frame of the bar. Moving on. I don't know if I'll be keeping the floorboard white, but for right now, because I am going to be having black gym floor matting come into play, I'm going to leave it white. I think it might be a good contrast. I had to add some MDF strips to kind of space it out because I wanted the floorboard to be level with the trim, not the slats on the actual like black portion of the bar. When that was up and level and secure, I decided to add a satin black like rounded trim to the top of that and also the sides of the bar as well, but not underneath where the top is going to be going. I then painted these black curtain drape holders that I linked down below for you, a gold. I also linked the spray paint, do not worry, and used my laser level to see where I was going to be putting the 3 that are going to be attaching to the bar to hold the foot rail, but I'm also going to be attaching 2 directly into the floor for extra support, because if you don't have those, it will start to kind of bow as your guests rest their foot on them, or it might even break the actual dowel since I'm doing a wooden dowel. I'm not going to be installing those 2 because I need to wait for the gym flooring to be installed, since I want that rounded portion of the base showing, since I love the gold accents. Now to install the countertop, and I'm just going to let myself be embarrassed for you guys real quick, but this is how I reacted. I was really proud.
Oh, I'm so nervous. I'm so excited. Hi, you're beautiful. You're so beautiful. Okay, so I just want to see if this is... Oh my god, you guys, I literally have chills. I have chills. I totally have chills. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm so excited. I totally didn't paint this white. We just did this. Rachel, we just did this.
Literally wasn't recording this entire time.
Hi, well, I put construction in, but I don't know where my brain is, guys. I think I'm just super excited.
Man, I just was on cloud 9 doing this, and watching this back just makes me smile ear to ear, because 2 years ago when I first picked up a power tool, I don't think I would have ever thought I could do this. I know I didn't think I could do this. It wasn't even in my thought process. Side note, the reason that you didn't see the install of the shelf or the lights you're gonna see in the after is because I threw that memory card in the washing machine. So I am so sorry about that, but it's just plug-in lights that you can install directly in the wall. I linked them down below for you. The shelving unit are the wood brackets from IKEA that I just painted black, and I cut down a piece of wood per the dimensions of those brackets. So I'm so sorry that that wasn't in the tutorial, but again, I linked it below for you. Like, I have no words. I am just besides myself that if this spray paint technique worked this well the first time around, I'm really excited to keep messing around with it to see what other solid different alternatives I can come up with pattern wise. It's just like a really fun and just way more affordable solution than a piece of stone if you can't or you don't want to purchase a piece of stone. All in all, just the top of this bar, the MDF portion that we faux marbled, was only about $140, $150 from tools to the epoxy, where just the colored epoxy that I wanted to mess around with, the kit itself was $300. So it was such a steal to not give it a go, and also between those two lights I'm putting a TV, so don't flip. Thank you guys so much for letting me take 2 weeks off to tackle some larger projects. I can't wait to share my fireplace makeover with you guys and a couple other room makeovers. But until then, I'm just gonna let Paul close out this video with his reaction to the bar.
This is incredible. Wow, look at it when you touch it.
Oh, it's rock solid.
So smooth.
But the bar stool, this is not in yet because I still have to attach it to the floor, so don't put your feet on it.
Yeah.
Just because I have to.
Of course, that's
I'm waiting for the gym.
I would do. I think it's good. It's like ready for a cigar. Light one up. Let's do it.
Kelly.
The lights, yeah, everything's beautiful. Very well done.
Oh, jeez,
Gorgeous.
just really tested it out.
Man,
Ew, Callie Bella
this
Rodriguez.
whole glossing thing, this is cool.
Epoxy.
Yeah.